For many of us, the need to push ourselves and our vehicles to the limit is at the core of our DNA. And while the desire to go fast is one thing, to win and be the fastest is a whole other. With a love for all things motoring, ALBORZ FALLAH founded Car Advice in 2006. This passion has taken him all over the world, driving an enormous array of cars on countless tracks. But driving in any competitive nature has so far eluded him.
Racing journey-wise, obviously being in this industry, I must have done thousands of laps around racetracks all around the world. I think it would be awesome to actually put myself out there and compete in a race, whether that's a Targa event, whether that's a circuit event, whether it's something. I want to put myself in a car and go up against other people that are actually racing in a race environment. Always been ridiculously interested in cars. I don't know where it comes from because my parents couldn't tell you the difference between an Audi and a BMW. My parents would tell you ever since I was a kid I was just fascinated, just something about cars. And avid Formula One fan. To be honest, that's really all I follow, and I follow it religiously. Like, I wake up in the morning, I say hi to the kids, and then I read F1 news. So, yeah, I haven't missed a race for a number of years. I'm a huge Lewis Hamilton fan, which I know is quite controversial. My son's named Lewis, and my dog is named Hamilton. Yeah, I'm one of those people.
While his passion and desire to compete are undeniable, an event and a vehicle to compete in need to be decided. In terms of the competition, we quickly decided that a Targa event is the perfect mix of the sealed road surfaces and tarmac of a circuit with the excitement and race against the clock discipline of a rally. And as Targa High Country is the closest event to our base in Sydney, the roads of Mount Buller will be our playground. As far as the car goes, with an unlimited budget, a Lamborghini Huracan Performante or Porsche 911 GT3 RS would be incredible. But we've set a budget of $100,000 and it has to be new, and with both costing around 5 times that, we'll need to be a touch more conservative. While cars in the vein of Ford's Focus RS Limited Edition and Subaru's WRX STI are packed full of rally heritage and would undoubtedly be competitive, we'd love something even more focused and unique. Hot hatches and fast sedans are out. Which leaves the likes of the Alfa Romeo 4C and the Lotus range. Like Ford and Subaru, both Alfa and Lotus are packed with racing heritage, but the concern with the Alfa is its carbon fibre tub. Any decent altercation with the scenery may result in a very costly repair bill, and as we need to keep the costs down, the lightweight British brand ticks many of our boxes. So a Lotus it is then, but which Lotus? We've come down to our local Lotus dealer, Simply Sports Cars, to speak with the team to get our head around the Lotus range, and maybe even throw some cash down on a car we'll tackle Targa with later this year.
Realistically, we're going to be looking at the Elise range, and I don't want you to interpret that as you having to buy a cheap car.
Yeah.
You know, the
$100
Elise.
grand's not a cheap car.
No. Well, in the Lotus range, 100 grandish is your Elise, 150s is your Exige, 200s is your Evoras.
Yeah.
And all of those cars will do what you want them to do. But if your budget's 100, then Elises, we just need to get the right Elise in the right spec and understand what you want to do, and then decide what sort of modifications you might make to it over time.
Okay.
So we've basically got 1.8 litre supercharged Elise Sport 220.
That's the only engine?
That's the only engine. So 1.8 litre supercharged, good for 220 horsepower or about 162 kilowatts.
Yep.
There are other variants of that. There's a Sprint
Yep.
variant, which is really, it's exactly the same mechanically.
Yep.
But it comes standard with a few more carbon fibre pieces and whatnot. We would probably end up replacing most of those things anyway for you when you decide to go to the track, so that's not money well spent.
Okay.
Yeah, as much as the Sprint is a lovely car, it's just not money well spent, and it'll tip you just a little bit over your 100k.
Okay.
All right. And then just for the purposes of mentioning it, there is a Cup 250. So this one's still the 1.8 litre engine, a different tune, fuel, injectors, different pulley size, etc. to get the 250 horsepower. It has some aero on it as well. Would be awesome on track, but you've told me you want to do Targa, and with undulating roads and quite camber changes. Well, not so much that it's hard, but your aero at the front in particular will probably cop a bit of a pounding. So, we'd be wanting to get ride heights up and to stop that from happening. So then when you distill all of that, the best car to go for is the Sport 220.
The car ALBORZ will go racing in will be this, a 2018 Lotus Elise Sport 220. It makes 162 kilowatts of power and 250 newton meters of torque from its supercharged 4-cylinder Toyota-sourced engine. And while those figures may not seem too menacing, you need to remember that this is a stripped-out roadster that weighs less than 1 tonne. Subtracting weight makes you faster everywhere. But we won't be stopping there. Like many new purchased Lotuses, we'll be sprinkling our Elise with a number of dealer-supported mods and upgrades to make it race-ready. While the actual racing itself may be a challenge for the individual, the driver, success can only come with the support of a team. And while Lotus are renowned for their superb levels of race support, when it comes to our Lotus, Simply Sports Cars will be looking after all of our Targa needs.
If somebody wants to go racing, they just ring us up, let us know what they want to do. We can run them through the list of everything they're going to need. Shock absorbers, brakes, wheels, tyres, engine performance, race safety, harness bars, harnesses, harness devices, helmets, basically a one-stop shop.
Founded in 2006, Simply Sports Cars have been supplying, servicing and racing Lotuses in everything from club and track days to full Targa event support. We'll be working closely with them to make sure our Elise is Targa ready when we tackle Victoria's High Country later this year. Well, there's no going back now. The car is ordered and a place in Targa High Country secured. Over the coming months, ALBORZ, along with the car, will be doing all he can to get race ready. And to his own admission, he's never raced in any competitive setting before, so I think we'll need to sort him out some training as well. Stay tuned for episode 2, where we pick up the car and get him behind the wheel on track for the first time. On the last episode of Road to Race, we had just placed an order for this, a 2018 Lotus Elise Sport 220. Car Advice founder ALBORZ FALLAH has decided he wants to tackle Targa High Country later this year, and we've chosen the Elise as the car to do it in. After a few weeks' wait, it was time to collect our Elise from Simply Sports Cars in Sydney. As well as supplying the car, they'll also be helping us over the coming months to get the car ready to tackle Targa in November. So why did we buy a Lotus? While there tends to be a focus on outright power when it comes to performance cars, an often overlooked factor is weight. As Lotus's founder Colin Chapman famously said, subtracting weight makes you faster everywhere. The other advantage of a lack of mass is far less wear and tear on the car's consumables like tyres and brakes, both of which are critical in an event like Targa High Country. Reliability is obviously important to actually finish the event, let alone win it, and with the Elise being powered by a supercharged Toyota-sourced engine, mated to a Toyota-sourced 6-speed gearbox, we have immense peace of mind when it comes to the longevity of the power plant. Another reason the Elise was chosen is because of its sheer simplicity and incredible driving experience, thanks to the fact it weighs less than a tonne. How are you finding it on road? Like how, as far as a road car?
I like it. I really actually just want to use it as a track car. I actually genuinely want to use this as a track car because I track my Aston a lot and it cost me a small fortune to keep doing it. This would be perfect. I reckon this would just need tyres and I won't have to worry about anything else.
Yep.
I just want to own a car that I can take to a track.
Yep.
And then, you know, hopefully, if I'm good enough by the end of this, we can do a Targa event in it. So,
well, you have to.
Okay, yeah, sure. Let's get the first track day out of the way first.
Exactly,
you know?
which is going to be dicey.
Let's see if we survive.
Well, yeah. See if this is in one piece at the end. With the Elise, you really get the impression that every aspect of the car is focused on giving the driver the maximum levels of enjoyment, both on-road and at places like this. Like many car enthusiasts, driving around town day to day is not where you're going to extract the most from your four-wheeled pride and joy. Events like this Driving Solutions Track Day are where you need to be to properly experience any performance car. ALBORZ has plenty of track experience, but this is his first attempt in the Elise, and the track at Sydney Motorsport Park is very much on the damp side. Far from ideal conditions, but they'll certainly put both the car and his driving abilities to the test. Mate, Driving Solutions Track Day number 1, how'd you go?
Yeah, good. It's a bit scary out there. It's a bit dry, not. So it's actually really quite wet. It's been raining all night and it's super greasy. So there are certain lines that are dry and certain lines that are not dry. So if you miss your driving line, if you come off slightly, the back will just slide.
Yeah.
Had a few of those.
Car was good.
Car was excellent. I really enjoy driving it. It is made to be here.
While it's great to get ALBORZ out on track for the first time in the Elise, it's clear that to be competitive, we'll need to get him some driver training. And in the next episode of Road to Race, we'll be teaming up with the guys from Driving Solutions to do exactly that. So far on Road to Race, we've discovered ALBORZ feels the need to drive not just fast, but competitively. We've decided his competitive driving will happen at Targa High Country, and the car he'll be piloting is the Lotus Elise Sport 220. Vehicles like the Elise require a very unique approach to driving in order to get the most out of them in any competitive setting. And while it's one thing to attend a track day on your own, getting some professional tuition will not only make you a far better driver, but a more competitive one too. This is where Driving Solutions' Mark Williamson comes in. Mark is a highly accomplished racing driver and driver trainer. He's successfully competed in everything from open wheelers and Formula Renault through to supercars and race cars in the Asian GT4 Championship, and he'll be putting ALBORZ through his paces. But before Mark gets into the nitty-gritty of driver training, ALBORZ needs to head out and get a feel for the track, the car and the conditions.
ALBORZ, welcome to Sydney Motorsport Park. You've had a couple of introductory laps now.
Yes.
How are you finding the circuit?
I've only literally been here maybe once or twice before and never properly.
Okay.
And it's quite a challenging track.
It is. There's a lot of corners here. It's a really challenging track and
It feels like there's a couple of off-camber corners too, which is a bit interesting.
really tricky. Some on camber, some off camber, some really interesting crests in around the track. And in fact, sometimes it's not till you walk around the track till you see exactly the lay of the land there.
Okay, I spent a fair bit of time going sideways.
Yeah, okay.
It's a bit greasy,
It is, yeah, absolutely.
and I don't think this thing's wearing wet tyres. So, but I'm really enjoying driving it, and
We'll work on that. We'll get that happening. And the great thing with the event we have here today being an open track day, I'm going to spend some time in car with you. We'll really consolidate those lines. We've got some apex cones around the track that you would have already noticed, where we'll really try and hit those apexes correctly, consistently. And the thing I find when you come to a track event like this with Driving Solutions is it's just to build up slowly.
Yeah.
We've got all day. We've got plenty of time out there, lots and lots of laps to get it right. The funny thing with being on a racetrack is the harder you try and drive or the faster you try and drive, the worse
slower
it gets.
you get. Yeah.
The slower you get.
Yeah.
So we'll go out there and we'll try and get it right. We'll get all the accuracy happening, and then by the end of the sessions, we'll be going quick.
Put in a
It'll come
decent
together
lap.
nicely.
Yeah, look, as I said, I don't know the track very well, and I don't know the car very well, so I've got two things to learn. You're a Lotus expert. You've had plenty of driving experience at a Lotus, so I'm very much looking forward to you sitting over here and telling me what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah, they're a wonderful training car. They're probably, without doubt, the best training car you can have to learn how to drive on a track.
Okay.
If you can
Why do you
drive
think that is?
I think more the size, because it's a really direct vehicle. It's a short wheelbase car, being a mid-engine car. It behaves very much like an open wheeler race car in many respects, like a Formula Ford or a Formula car.
Yep.
And a lot of that weight transfer aspect is very, very similar.
Right.
And for me, I think if you can drive one of these well, you can drive any car well. So that's why they're a great training car.
That's a good line. I
yeah.
got to learn now.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's jump in. Let's
We'll
go.
work on it. Cool. What I always do as we exit out onto the track is stay on the left-hand side, just all the way down to the first corner there. And generally with this corner we can probably do it in third gear, at least initially. So on the brakes there, and just really a steady throttle. So without accelerating, just literally hold it at that, coming into the apex. So don't accelerate yet, and then squeeze her on. Just have a little ease off here and keep it in tight. You want just a light brake and turn in now. It's an early turn in and out wide. We'll do this next corner in third this time.
Okay.
Really important with that Lotus to ease off the brake. It's all about that weight transfer. That's a really good line there, really smooth. So on the brake, ease her off. We're just in a little bit on the early side. Just come out about the middle of the track and then back across. Really look through the corner. Just hold that throttle steady, so don't get on it yet. Hold it at that, hold it at that. Now feed it down there. So good firm hard brake there. Ease off. Just in a little early. Feel that understeer? On the brake now, so turn slightly later. Now turn. See the difference there?
Yeah.
Feel like the back's coming around. That's exactly what you want. That's always the thing with the Lotus, because it's so light in the front. You're trying to help that front turn in by just getting off the gas and just get a little bit of weight transfer on the front to get it to turn into the corner. And just hold it at that throttle. Don't accelerate yet, because it'll understeer if you do. Feel it a little bit there?
Yeah.
Just pushing a bit. You're just on the gas a little bit too early. We're on the limiter there now, right? That's how much faster you're going. So ease her off. Just hold it steady here. So no throttle yet. Unwind the lock now. All right, that's good. That's great, mate. Really, really nice driving. All right, that was a great session. Finally, the track's dried up, so we got a chance to push the Lotus Elise a little further than we could earlier. And I think one of the really great things, as we discussed earlier, with a Lotus in particular, on a dry track, you can throttle steer the car, and you can really use some of those adjustments with throttle and brake.
Yeah, absolutely.
Change that weight transfer. You felt that then, didn't you?
Certainly coming into turn 3?
Turn 2?
Turn 2. Just lifting off a bit to get the back to come around.
Yeah.
I haven't done that in a car before, and that was really quite an interesting way to turn the car in. So I got a lot out of that. I felt like the tyres were a bit giving up towards the end. Maybe that should be something we look at.
I think so. I think, just probably the last 2 or 3 laps, you could feel the rear tyres went a little bit and started to slide a little in the back.
Yeah.
And the front tyres started to go, and then it kind of neutralised a little bit then.
Yeah, then it was just slow.
Then it was just slow and it was sliding, and that was just the pressures coming up, and I think we've cooked the tyres a little bit. But the Lotus is performing well. You can see the brakes are really great. The handling of the car is actually really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being a little bit let down by the tyres. So that'd be the next thing, looking at some tyres.
Yeah.
To just go to another level, so you can do a 20 or 30 minute session, and the tyres won't give up, and you can really keep pushing the car. Yeah, because that time we were having to ease off a bit. Yeah.
But I'm really surprised at how well the brakes work, even after lap after lap of abuse. Like, it just seems to be fine. Like, there was not even a thought that it was going to let go on me at all.
Absolutely, no fade. Brakes on Lotus are fantastic. It's one of the strong points, and it's largely to do with the weight of the vehicle. I mean, it doesn't have big brakes on it, but in comparison to the weight of the vehicle, it stops it beautifully each time. And as you're right, there's no fade. There's a couple of really big stops here on this circuit. You're really working it hard. Temperatures you could feel on the brakes were nice and low, and it wasn't fading at all. So that's just consistent all the way through. So the brakes are a really big strong point of the vehicle, no doubt.
All right, well, I'm going to go out there and attempt to set a lap time.
Give it a go.
And see how I go.
We'll work on it, keep it nice and smooth, just like we were doing that time, because the techniques were smooth, the lines were great, and the track's drying up. It's really nice now. So ease into it like anything. Don't try and drive fast, because when you try and drive fast, you're always going to go slow. Just try and keep it smooth, try and keep it controlled, get the lines right, consistent, and then the lap time's going to be there.
I'll try and beat my time before training, but I think that shouldn't be a problem. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Well done. Good driving.
While ALBORZ is out doing his best to set his fastest lap, I think it's time I hear from the coach and see how ALBORZ and the Elise are doing. How'd he go?
Doing great. Yeah, it was actually quite a difficult session to run through this morning. So we had wet conditions, then sort of wet, dry conditions, and then that one was dry. So that was fantastic. So it's been a really nice progression. Would have been easier if it was dry all day, or even wet all day for that matter. So the conditions have been different on every session we've been out. So that's a challenge, and and funnily enough, if you're looking at the longer game with Targa events and so on, that they are the sorts of conditions you're going to be dealing with from a competitive point of view anyway. So it's actually a good experience to have that on a racetrack as we've had it today. Went really well, dealt with the conditions well, no mistakes, getting better all the time, and as I said earlier, you've just got to ease into it. If he's easing into it, he'll be quick, no doubt about it.
How do you think he'll fare in Targa?
I think he'll go well. With Targa or any kind of Targa event, you've just got to back it off a little bit. You just can't be right up there at that limit all the time, because those road conditions vary so much. So racetracks are very much a known quantity, and as the road's consistent, where all the walls are, there's no trees, there's none of those sorts of things. So you have to drive those Targa events as you see them, in my opinion. But he's well equipped to do that, there's no doubt. I'm not sure we'll step through this process of training, get the car right, make some changes to it, get him up to speed a little bit more, and I think he'll do really well.
How about the car? How's the car going?
The Lotus Elise is a fabulous car. I think you actually couldn't pick a better car to use to train a driver, to take them through that process of improving and becoming a highly skilled driver. Reason being, it's so sensitive. It reflects everything the driver does. So if the driver makes a little error, You feel it straight away. Likewise, if the driver's doing things correctly, you'll feel that straight away. So you're getting that instant feedback, and as a driver, that's how you can improve. You know, you get the instant feedback from the Lotus, you know what you've done right or wrong, you can adjust it on the next lap. So fabulous car from that point of view. Learning how to throttle steer the car a little through the corners, how to use that weight distribution, and how to drive the car when it's really committed in the corner, and what to do, what not to do with the throttle in those situations. And it's a really wonderful little package, you know, in terms of power, to weight, to ratio, it's exactly what you want to learn to improve your driving. It's without doubt the best training car you can ever have.
With drying conditions and on a set of tyres that are more appropriate for the road than the track, ALBORZ best lap time was a 1:53.10. To put that into perspective, the same car on more track-appropriate rubber with a professional driver behind the wheel can crack the 1:50, so ALBORZ has some work ahead of him to get up to race pace. How did you feel you went?
Yeah, all right. I had some good laps in there at the beginning, and then the tyres died on me.
Yep.
That's my excuse.
I was going to say, these are racing driver excuses.
That's a good excuse. The tyres, the shaft, everything was wrong except me. No, look, it was good. It was good having the trainer in the car and getting some practice in. I learned some really interesting stuff with like lift-off oversteer corrections.
Yep.
Using the rear to turn the car. Which is kind of interesting. Haven't done that before. Yeah, I'm really dead keen to take this properly and seriously.
Excellent, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I've been having a chat to Mark.
Yeah.
He's really happy with how you went,
That's good.
but we're going to step it up.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Wakefield. We're going to a Lotus Drivers Day.
Oh, good.
A Lotus Club Day, basically.
So same cars, different
Same
driver.
cars, but it's stepping it up a notch. But that was great. This was really, really good, but this is another level up again.
I'll put an Exige engine in there before we get there.
I think, from what Mark said, I think you're going to do really well.
All right.
That's good.
Let's go and try it out.
Let's do it, mate.
An awesome day.
Excellent.
All right.
Sweet. On the next episode of Road to Race, we head to Wakefield Park in southeastern New South Wales to soak up the atmosphere of a Simply Sports Cars track day and to see how ALBORZ and our Elite will do amongst a host of similar machines and some very talented drivers. Welcome to Wakefield Park. We're at a Simply Sports Cars Lotus only day. It's an awesome range of cars that are here. We've got some Tiger cars, full race cars and just normal retail spec standard cars, but it's bloody cold. It was -6 degrees a few hours ago and everything's covered in frost and snow, but it should be a great day.
I feel great. It is very cold, like -6 degrees. It took me a while to get the ice off the windscreen, but yeah, I'm feeling really good. There are so many really highly done up cars, some proper target cars, some proper race cars, so mate, I've got all the excuses already lined up.
Well, the beauty of Lotus is that it can be enjoyed out on the open road. To really see and feel what they are capable of and not only push the car but yourself to the limit, a track is the best place to explore the possibilities. Simply Sports Cars frequently hold Lotus owner track days at circuits around Australia, and as well as experiencing the speed and enjoyment of racing a Lotus on track, the gathering of Lotus owners and drivers create a strong and supportive community atmosphere. It might be called a track day, but with the dinner the night before, food and coffee catch up in the pits, it's just as much a social get-together as it is a day on the circuit.
So I've been coming to the LOTDs for a couple of years now. I started in the Drive group, and in the last 6 months I've been joining the Sprint group. I like it because it's a really good way to get into motorsport without, feeling intimidated. You've got, really experienced people that are happy to mentor and train you and share their knowledge. And Simply Sports Cars just do a really great job in putting these events together. And the people have become like family as well, so because you see them so often.
I'm a novice. I've been in a cup car with Bart in a Porsche, a Radical. First time in a Lotus. For a couple of reasons. Track car that you can drive on the road, but the biggest reason of all is SSC. What they put on, the events, the staff, the service, it's extraordinary. For novices like us, it's just absolutely fantastic.
I've only been to 3 of these track days, but yeah, they've all seemed like a good crowd. Everybody has a lot of respect for other drivers, and yeah, everyone's just here to have a good time and have some fun.
Like-minded individuals, not a lot of ego, friendly. Here to have fun rather than to to be the fastest on the track, although some guys are fast.
Yeah, it's really good.
Brilliant. Yeah, everyone's so easy to go up and have a conversation with. Fantastic.
I think it's just a really great day, you know, to be with them, and it's good competition. The people are good, and they do a great job of making the venue work for us.
Yeah, look, it's our first time. I've known Mark and Lee for some period of time though. Certainly understanding the Lotus community environment was one of the key reasons why I decided to jump on board and grab one. And it's been a great weekend for us.
Very embracing, and they're always happy to give you a hand and tips wherever you need it. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
I'd recommend to anybody, you know, who buys a Lotus, if you really want to get the benefit of it, come down to a Lotus track day and drive it on the track, because that's when you really get the benefit of what the car can do.
With over 70 cars attending, the range and breadth of Lotus cars on display range from standard and base model Elise to full track-prepped Exigers to the exclusive new Evora GT430 and everything in between.
Yeah, so I share this car with my husband. I've also got a Lotus as well. I've got the grown-up Lotus, which is the four-seater Evora. But because I've started tracking a little bit more, we've decided that we'll share this car because it's set up for the track.
I've got that green Exige over there with the Union Jacks on the spoiler. Had it about 6 months, and we're planning a few little power upgrades. No such thing as too much power in these cars.
Our Elise received its first modifications at the Wakefield event, being fitted with far more track-appropriate Yokohama Advan AD08Rs, and the difference was instantly apparent. How much difference? 2.5 to 3 seconds a lap faster. And at Wakefield, this was a huge difference. Our Elise was quick, but once all the Targa modifications are complete, it's going to be a weapon. As well as plenty of solo track time, ALBORZ also rode shotgun with Lotus specialist Mark O'Connor to experience what our Elise can really do and to get some tips on his driving technique.
So how did he go?
Yeah, really good actually. Considering he's used to driving higher horsepower cars and stuff like that, the Lotus will be good for him for teaching him the importance of carrying corner speed and just a few little things that you don't have to worry about too much when you've got enough power under your right foot to fix. You've got to be a bit mindful of those in the Elise, and so there's a couple of little things like that to work on, but no, overall really good.
Definitely need more work compared to a pro driver. I'm never going to get there, but it's good to see what it's like to be driven properly. So some really good tips. I was taking some lines that just weren't right. Which felt like they were right, but when you see it done by a pro, you realise that they're not right. So yeah, good. I'm looking forward to getting out there. I reckon I could get it under. I can get it to 110.
After a few hours on track, a change of tyres, below zero temperatures in the morning, meeting a bunch of great people and consuming a substantial amount of great coffee and delicious food, ALBORZ has come away from the day more enthusiastic than before, but understanding that far more training and preparation will be required before Targa. Join us in the next episode of Road to Race for the unveiling of our Targa-prepared Elise and to see if the freshly trained and practiced ALBORZ can beat his lap time at Sydney Motorsport Park. We're now only weeks away from Targa High Country, and since his last round of driver training at the Simply Sports Cars Lotus Owners Day at Wakefield Park, ALBORZ has been working on his skills and putting the Elise through its paces on multiple track days and on some adventures through Queensland. But now we're back at Sydney Motorsport Park with Mark and the guys from Driving Solutions to see if all the practice has paid off.
Big improvement from our last day here a couple of months back. It's a great step forward, and you can tell he's been working on that and trying to implement a lot of the changes that we made back then. So a lot faster into the corners, vision's a lot better balance with the car, and he's picked up through the competition he's been having. You can certainly see the improvement. I think he'll do well. I mean, Targa High Country is again another step for him in terms of driving, I suppose ability, and we will get there. He's close to being at the point where he can get the most out of that and do it safely. And ultimately, that's what it's all about. Being able to go to an event like Targa High Country, do it quickly, have a lot of fun, do it safely, bring the car back in one piece, and he's at that point now, which is great.
With a tick of approval from the experts regarding his driving ability, we sat down with ALBORZ to talk about the Elise, Simply Sports Cars, his abilities, and his approach and hopes regarding Targa.
A lot of people would look at that car and go, it doesn't have enough power, just looking at the figures on a piece of paper, but it's not till you get behind the wheel and actually power out of a corner that you've gone in way too hot, you thought, but it still feels perfectly fine as it comes in and goes out, that you go, okay, this car is made to do this. And yeah, the more I drive it, the more I like it. I still find it difficult to get in and out of, but the compromise is definitely worth it. After having driven the Lotus initially,
I was starting to go, oh God, did we buy the right car? Like honestly, I thought in my head, oh, maybe we should have bought something else. This is really hard to set up or get in and out of. It seems really technical, but the more I got to know it and the more I got to spend time with the guys at Simply Sports Cars and sort of understanding this whole concept, I actually realized it's the perfect car. Like it's the perfect car because I can do Targa, and then whilst waiting for the next Targa event, and you can sure as hell bet that I'm going to do more, I can do track days. And the car you don't have to do anything. I could take half the cage out and just use it as a track car and it'll be fine. Like there's nothing else I have to change. And then go back to Targa, put the rest of the cage back in, and off we go. Like how many other new cars can you buy where you've got that support from the manufacturer where you can do Targa, track, anything else in the middle, and then just drive it to Coles at the same time. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's been the perfect choice. Honestly, now with the car, I feel like I'm about 80% of the way there to really driving it to its limit. I've probably still got a bit more to go. I haven't really played too much with, I guess, the suspension, sort of really understanding how much difference the ride height makes or things like that. I'm not sure if I'm at that level, and more importantly, I'm not sure if I want to be. You know, I'm not mechanically minded. I'm not an engineer. I don't care. I love driving fast. I feel like if I can improve my driving, I will get more out of the car than trying to mess around with the car. I've left that to the experts. Like that was always the thing. I don't want to be sitting there, you know, tinkering with the suspension by a millimeter to see if that makes a difference in lap time. That's not, for me, it was about having some fun, and I just want to show up to a track day or go to a Targa event and have them prep the car, and I just drive and have a great time. So look, yeah, the more I drive it, the better I get at it.
To have the car prepared for Targa High Country, Simply Sports Cars have made some safety and performance upgrades to our Elise. First up there were the upgraded brakes, lighter rims and stickier tyres fitted at the Wakefield track day, and then came the more Targa-specific modifications. A rear tow hook, rear tow linkages, fire extinguisher systems, roll cage with removable front section, harnesses, a rally-safe wiring kit, a stylo intercom system with an Exige-style rear wing because, well, ALBORZ likes big wings on cars. And the guys at Just Dip It sprayed the whole car in a halo wrap to not only look great but to also protect the factory paint against any stone chips, bugs and any Victorian flora and fauna.
Yeah, look, I've been to a few sort of Lotus Club track days and events like that, and it's been really interesting to see because there's a whole wide variety of people. You've got guys who've sort of saved up and bought a Lotus as their sort of dream car and are doing track days. Then you got guys who've got Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Porsches who use the Lotus as their track car because they know it's best suited. So it's a really interesting variety of people, and it's been really good to meet them because the one thing they all have in common is that they're passionate car people, and Lotus has been the brand for them that offers the best support for what they want to do in terms of motorsport. And I found that to be the most helpful part, having done a few sort of Lotus events where you pull into the pits and, you know, I had one where my brakes, one of the discs wasn't doing what it was supposed to after it abused it far too much. And the guys managed to swap the full discs and the pads out in about 4 minutes. So that was pretty impressive. And that's the sort of stuff you just don't get from other manufacturers at local track events. Fitness is going great. I've lost over 20 kilos. So I'm feeling pretty good, about as fit as I've ever been in my life. So yeah, look, I mean, it was a big goal of mine to get fit, you know, mostly for Targa and also for karting. Two things where weights makes a difference, I suppose, particularly in a car that light, but also you tend to drive better when you don't have a bag of 20 kilos around your waist. So that's sort of filled me with a bit of confidence and just a bit of more maneuverability, and you don't get fatigued. Also, I think as part of getting fitter, I obviously now eat better, which also helps because I'm not getting a can of Red Bull for a sugar rush and then halfway through a track day I just sort of crash because the sugar's gone. Not crash literally, but sugar crash. So I guess changing that eating habit has also been very helpful for my driving. The idea of someone closing the best roads in Australia for you and having everything ready and all the safety gear ready sounds amazing. Like for me, it's surprising that Targa isn't a bigger event. So I'm really looking forward to having that mindset if I can sort of go hard not have to worry about anything else, just focus on my lines, listen to my nav and just have a lot of fun. Like, it's supposed to be fun, right? It's motorsport. I'm not trying to get an F1 drive next year, so I'm just gonna really enjoy it. Yeah, I've actually never been there. I've never done the roads. I was talking to a few people who say you get ice, and that does scare me, I have to be honest. I don't like slippery conditions. I don't mind if it's wet, I don't mind if it rains. I can deal with, I've had a lot of experience driving in the wet, and I think that's because the car is relatively predictable. When it's raining, you won't have as much grip, but it doesn't just snap and go like it will on ice or a bit of black ice or something. So I will be taking it easy.
Our Lotus Elise is Targa prepared and ALBORZ feels fit, ready, and it's clear the driver training has paid off. There's really only one thing left to do, and that will happen in the next and final episode of Road to Race. It's the event we've been building up to. It's Targa High Country. How will the car and driver handle the incredible roads of the Victorian High Country? Will they succeed, or will they even finish the event? All will be revealed in episode 6 of Road to Race. Over the past several months, we've been following Car Advice founder ALBORZ FALLAH's journey as he realises his ambition to race. Since first deciding that Targa High Country would be the place to do it, and choosing the Lotus Elise Sport 220 as his weapon, ALBORZ and the car have evolved into what looks to be a competitive race package. High Country is the closing round of the Australian Targa Championship and incorporates some of the most challenging, rewarding and scenic roads Victoria has to offer. Run over 3 days, hundreds of drivers, co-drivers and fans descend on the Mount Buller and Mansfield area to compete in and witness such a unique and exciting event. Competitors are broken up into a number of categories, depending on skill level and the car they pilot. ALBORZ and our Elise are competing in the GT Sports Trophy category, which is a 130km speed limited class, and features cars such as Subaru WRX STIs, Alfa Romeos, BMW M cars, and of course our Elise Sport 220. But his direct competition comes in the form of other Elise and Lotus Exigers. Before drivers are let loose on the Victorian High Country, cars and drivers must meet both Targa and CAM's requirements. Once cars are deemed up to scratch and drivers briefed, it's time to go racing. It's one thing to drive an event like Targa High Country, but no matter how talented a driver may be, they need to know where they're going, and that's why the navigator plays such a crucial role. We're lucky enough to secure the talents and services of rally legend Tracy Dewhurst.
Well, I was born into motorsport, essentially. My father used to run Speedway, so I've always been around dirt tracks, but rallying, I was brought into it about 26 years ago. I was introduced by a friend. Everything from, rallying from entry-level events, VCRS events in Victoria, up to the Victorian Rally Championship as well, WA Championship. It's just been a stepping stone basically over the years. I've done a couple overseas as well now, so I've had the opportunity to sit alongside some great drivers in New Zealand. Same with some drivers over in Finland, whether it's snow or doing part of the WRC rally. But yeah, it's just, opportunities arise, and you pick and choose who you sit with, and essentially that's how it's all come about. So everything from an Escort to a Subaru, and this weekend is a Lotus. Yeah.
The first stage of day one is a run down the mountain from Mount Buller to Mirambar, and is treated as a warm-up stage to get things underway. And as such, some restrictions are put in place.
We've actually got a minimum time on this particular stage, so you can't go under 4 minutes, and the base time is 6. So we've kind of done a bit of an average speed throughout this particular stage, and hopefully we'll sit around the 4:30.
Once complete, drivers then head off to tackle several other stages over the course of the day, covering a total of 83.5 kilometres of gruelling driving. Each day concludes with a run back up the mountain, finishing at the base of Mount Buller Ski Resort, providing plenty of entertainment for spectators.
And the first day, it's been pretty good. I think we're 6th, pending penalties. If other people get them, we might get up. If other people don't get them, we might go down. Pretty good first day. I was taking it maybe 8/10. Had another release with us that didn't make it. Ended up in the barrier somewhere, so it was a bit of an interesting moment to go past him. It didn't look very good. But look, I'm going 8/10. So my aim is to finish top 10, not to win. So I wouldn't win anyway. There's so many faster cars and drivers here, so pretty good.
Day 2 and 8 more stages, with the real highlight of the day being the 3.62 kilometre stage through the heart of Mansfield. Think Isle of Man TT, but on 4 wheels and through a regional Victorian town. This is one of the only events in the country where you can legally push your car to the limit through suburban streets.
That was the only stage we didn't do a proper recce because the roads are not closed. Like, you can't do a proper recce of that. It was a city stage, but that roundabout really caught me out. I reckon I cleared it by maybe a centimetre. I thought I was going to hit it because they changed it last minute. You used to just go right, but they had to go around the normal way and come out. And yeah, I reckon I cleared it by a centimetre from the gutter. Otherwise, it would have been bang in there. So pretty lucky there. I'm having a lot of fun. That's the main thing. Awesome.
After 2 days of solid competition, we checked in with ALBORZ to see how things were going.
Looked at the timesheets from day 1, which had all the stages we're doing tomorrow but combined, and we were extremely competitive. So we were 4th fastest against even the Exeges in the really twisty stuff, and that's all there is tomorrow. So it's a bit of a confidence boost that we'll probably be quite competitive. We're definitely faster than the BMW ahead of us today, so I don't want to say it, but if I can keep it on the black stuff and just go as I've been going, I reckon 5th is quite possible.
Before the curtain is drawn on day 2, the town of Mansfield holds Targafest, which invites all competitors to fill the centre of the town with their pride and joy to showcase some of the metal competing. With live music and food and some incredible cars, there's something on offer for competitors, fans and families alike. The final day of competition has set itself up to not only be the most challenging, but also the most competitive. ALBORZ, currently sitting in 6th place, now feels the most confident and aware of what Targa asks of its competitors. Only 9 seconds separate ALBORZ from the 5th place BMW 135 in front of him, meaning even a podium finish isn't out of the question. Anything can happen this late in the game. The stages that lay ahead on day 3 can be thought of like a greatest hits of the past 2 days. With confidence at an all-time high due to drivers tackling familiar tarmac, competition is more furious than ever. Day 3 is where most drivers will be looking to shave off important seconds from their overall times. After the daily run down Mount Buller, day 3 consists of 2 huge stages wrapped up by one final race up the mountain. The second event of the day is the grueling 48-kilometre Jamison stage, immediately followed by Eildon, a 39-kilometre stage that will certainly test the drivers' levels of concentration after all they've been through over the last few days. Before tackling the final run up Mount Buller to the finish line, ALBORZ is currently sitting in 5th place in his class, thanks to an impressive 3rd in the long Eildon stage, meaning a good run to the line could see him hold on to this 5th position for the GT Sports Trophy category. After he crossed the line for his final run up the mountain, ALBORZ has no choice but to wait for the rest of the field to finish to learn his final position. So we took the opportunity to have a chat.
Today was unbelievable. I think if we'd done what we did today for the last 2 days, we would have done exceptionally well. I came 3rd in one of the super long stages, I think 4th in the other super long stage, and considering there's 3 Exeges in our class, I'm pretty happy with that, to be perfectly honest. Honestly, I would 100% do it again. I was getting so competitive towards the end that if I had the same level of competitiveness to start with, I think we would have easily been 5th or 4th possibly. Didn't crash. That shouldn't have been a surprise, but coming up Mount Buller in that last stage, I was actually committing to every corner as if there was no room for error. So I needed
as much time as I could gain, and it looks like I may have still lost it by 2 seconds, but I was committing, like when Tracy was saying 9 left, I was flat, even if I couldn't see it, in the hope that it was a 9 left. Because if it wasn't, we would have just flown off the mountain. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't, the speed thing, all the penalties we got, that I think we got the last 2 days, didn't get any today. All the penalties, I stopped caring about the speed, and I think it worked out better because previously we were just panicking a little bit, and I was not driving, I was just focusing on the speedo because we don't have a digital speedo, and that really made it hard. Something to fix for next time. But look, I'm really happy. I look a bit down because we lost it by 2 seconds, but maybe we didn't. I don't know. I'll have to check. But I'm pretty happy with 16. But I will do it again, and I would definitely recommend someone do it. But I'd say you start in the tour, and then do GT Sport Trophy.
After 3 days, 269 kilometres, 20 stages and over 180 drivers and navigators, ALBORZ finished 6th in his class and 40th overall. And while a podium finish didn't come, there's no denying that for his first competitive run at such a challenging event, it's an excellent result. So that is Targa High Country done and dusted, and that's Road to Race the Series done and dusted. Just want to say a massive thank you to Lotus, to Simply Sports Cars, to Driving Solutions, everybody at Car Advice that had anything to do with this project, and mainly to you, the viewer, for watching it. Let us know in the comments section below what you think of Targa High Country, what you think of ALBORZ coming 6th in his very first event, what you think of the Lotus. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'll see you next time.